Last week, Thursday and Friday, I spoke at a conference in Washington, D.C., entitled Coptic Solidarity. It was a grand gathering of more than 200 experts, politicians and writers who address mostly Arab Christians about the repugnant persecution of followers of Jesus by radical Islam in the Middle East. There were numerous members of Congress there, ambassadors, authors, and those who had experienced the daily persecutions of Christians, not only in Egypt, but in Iraq, Sudan, Pakistan, Iran, Somalia, Nigeria, and now Syria. Wherever Islamic fundamentalism has influence, there is a war on non-Muslims, and in particular on Christians. Rapes, beatings, forced conversions, murder, pogroms. This is not fantasy, but the stuff of grimy, filthy, bloody reality. Yet the world does very little in response. Mind you, Canada does more than most, and whatever your politics, you should praise this government for that. It was genuinely moving to be greeted and embraced by so many Christians from the heartland of the faith who treated me like some sort of champion when I'm a mere whistle, a meager voice for their plight. Among the people we interviewed, actually, was Senator Ted Cruz, who may well, I don't know, become a future president of the United States of America. Many think he will. He's also campaigned for persecuted Christians. I began by asking him about the work of the Canadian government in this area. Is there anything you would say to the people of Canada? We have a government that does understand the persecution of Christians, but so few others seem to grasp that. What would you say to them?
Well, let me say the Canadian Prime Minister has been terrific and outspoken and a strong leader, and I commend him for his leadership. Religious liberty and religious persecution are fundamental issues, and we are seeing right now Christians persecuted across the globe. And we need to see more and more leaders across the world standing up for religious liberty, standing up against persecution. And just a few minutes ago, I discussed the tragic and yet inspiring case of Miriam Ibrahim. Miriam Ibrahim is a young mother, she's a young wife, and she is in prison right now in Sudan. She was sentenced to be tortured and murdered. She was sentenced to receive 100 lashes and then hang by the neck till dead for the crime of being a Christian. She's got two little babies, Martin and Maya. Martin's 20 months old. Maya is a newborn baby. They're in a Sudanese prison cell right now because her mother dared speak out and exercise her religious liberty, dared stand for Christ. Indeed, the Sudanese government told Miriam if she simply would renounce Jesus, she would be spared this horrific sentence. And Miriam looked at her captors and said, I cannot and I will not renounce Christ. Now, very few of us have ever had our faith tested the way Miriam has had her faith tested, and she is right now being lifted up in prayer by millions across America, across Canada, across the world. And I would encourage everyone to continue lifting Miriam up in prayer, but also to speak out for her freedom. For some time I've been calling on President Obama to speak out clearly. There is no bully pulpit like that the President of the United States has.
Has he responded?
The President has not spoken out on this case. I hope that he will. This should be an issue of bipartisan cooperation and unanimity. I'm proud to be working with my colleagues, Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen, Republican Senator Kelly Ayotte. The three of us have introduced legislation in the Senate that would facilitate Miriam's coming to America. Her husband, Daniel, is an American citizen from New Hampshire. And in the Senate, we have seen bipartisan leadership on this. It is my hope that President Obama will demonstrate that same leadership, stand up and say to the government of Sudan, free Miriam now. What they are doing is barbaric, it's wrong, and it should unite the people of the world against the wrongful persecution of Christians and anyone who is exercising religious liberty to follow their faith.
Thank you for your time.